Welcome to the Crazy Ralph podcast, all things Friday the 13th. I'm your host, Jason, and I'm with
Your friendly neighborhood, Pete.
Awesome. We're really looking forward to doing this podcast. It's
Yeah, totally.
for me, it's a labor of love. I love Friday the 13th. It's my franchise. I
Yep,
know Uncle Pete has his own franchise, but he definitely does have a lot of love for Friday.
much.
So you can obviously watch us on YouTube,
Mhm.
or you can listen to us where podcasts can be listened to. We're everywhere, and hopefully we find a into your heart. And just to give you a little bit of what to expect on this podcast. We love Friday the 13th. I don't think we have blinders on. I don't think we think all 12 films are great. And we're going to talk about that, but we're going to do breakdowns. We'll do some rankings. We'll do analysis, interviews with cast of Friday the 13th films, as well as some of the filmmakers and celebrities around the world of Friday the 13th,
Pretty cool.
whether it be people who manage certain websites or tourist attractions. We really want to, envelop ourselves into the Friday the 13th world. And then we're going to do fun things, fun games, fun activities, some different segments that are going to be unique to this show.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we'll do some recasting, which I know Uncle Pete is really pumped to do.
I was excited when you gave me that idea. I was like, "Ooh," like, in today's actors and actresses, that's a fun idea.
All right, so we'll get to that, and we have a lot of we'll break every show down. We'll have some segments in each show. This show is going to be a little bit different in the sense that it's a packed show. What we thought would be the best way to go about this is to do a rankings show
Mhm.
where we will go through all the films and we'll both comment on them and rank them. Personal rankings, obviously. There's 12 films, so that'll take up a good chunk of change. So we
Yep,
don't really have much more than that, but we figured it'd be a great first episode because it gives you an idea of where we stand on certain films
exactly.
and where we can go from there.
You may agree with us, you may, be totally against what we say, but that's the fun part of it. That's the fun
And that is the fun part, especially with Friday the 13th, because I'll tell you something. Yes, there are some bad films in this franchise. Oddly enough, some people really love those films.
Mhm.
But not only that, unlike Halloween, unlike Elm Street, unlike a lot of the other franchises, the number one pick of a Friday the 13th fan varies more than any other franchise in the horror world,
Very
I
fair.
would
That's a
think.
good assessment, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you think
So,
Halloween, most are gonna pick Halloween '78.
yeah.
Same thing with Child's Play or, Nightmare on Elm Street, even Texas Chainsaw. So that's
Yeah.
an excellent point because Friday is gonna have the most widely different
Yep.
favorite movie, I think.
Yeah, there's definitely the front runners, but between those, they get quite divided up. So
Yep.
always fun to hear rankings for Friday the 13th. And I know that we're gonna piss some people off with certain takes, but we're also gonna make some people happy. And at the
Yep.
end of this all, feel free to contribute your list. Add your list
Mhm.
to the comment section, and let's have some fun with it.
Totally.
Pete, before we jump into this, you have
Yep.
anything to say?
No, just like Jason said, welcome. Hope you guys get something out of it. I know Jason and I have been talking about this. We're gonna get a lot out of it. We're excited. We have a passion for horror. We have a passion for Friday the 13th. Hopefully that comes across. But it's no good if you keep it to yourself. We like sharing it with you guys. You see our passion, you get into like, oh man, other people love Friday as much as I do. We all love horror. So it's a fun place where hopefully you guys enjoy what we say and we enjoy interacting with you all.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. That's why I threw it to you. So the way we're going to do this ranking show is, rather than Pete say his 12 and my
Yeah.
12th place and go back and forth and regurgitate material, we're going to start with we're going to go through each film
Mhm.
and we're going to say our piece on that film. And at the end, we'll give a ranking, we'll rank it what it is on our list. And because let's face it, I mean, if we're going to be honest, the back end of the Friday the 13th franchise can be a little bit
Well,
of a dumpster fire. It depends. We're going to start with the last film that was made, which was the remake in 2009. So we'll make our way all the way to the original, and we'll see you on the other side. So first up, Friday the 13th. the remake. So
Yeah.
2009, this came out. Tagline was very simple for this one: "Welcome to Crystal Lake."
Mhm.
They didn't spend a lot of time on that marketing, but released February 15th, 2009. A budget of $19 million. U.S. and Canadian gross was 65 million. Opening weekend, U.S. and Canada was 40 million, and worldwide was 91 million. So it did well. It did
And I
really
believe it was
well.
the same director as the Texas Chainsaw remake, Marcus Nisbell.
Yes, exactly. And legalities are something that we'll talk about in this podcast at some point. But who would have known with a successful sequel, whether you liked it or not, the money was there, that this would have been the last time we would see
Right?
Jason. And
2000,
yeah, so what is
I
that
mean,
now?
we're
17,
2026. It's
17 years. I
that's
mean,
weird,
and the added salt to the wound was, for the years, everybody was waiting for the 13th Friday the 13th film,
right?
and we stopped at 12. We've been parked at 12 for almost 2 decades. It's sometimes it's
Yeah.
tough to love,
Yep.
your children, but you stick with them. All right. That being said, I'm gonna throw to Uncle Pete for his analysis of the remake.
I had the remake ranked number 8, and it kinda moved around. I've ranked these films a bunch of different times on my channel and other channels. It kinda moved down a little bit, but I did enjoy it. It is a good remake as far as remake in the pantheon of remakes, I think it's a pretty solid remake. Not as good as The Thing or The Blob, The Fly, the 3, icons, but I think it's a pretty decent remake. I like how they combined the first 3 films into 1. My issue with it was everybody was too pretty. It felt like a CW episode of Friday the 13th. Everybody's just too pretty and polished and handsome, and it was the typical cliche characters we've seen, the jock asshole, the girlfriend who probably doesn't like him, like the loner, the nerd, that we really haven't seen before. The script was kinda comical, like, we're in a gas station, he's like, "Well, you wouldn't wanna piss me off." What happens then? It's just like, you get that eye roll, this
Yeah.
jock douchebag mentality, it's just like, "Okay, yeah, he's gonna die." Little predictable on it, but as far as remakes go, I did enjoy it, so kinda right in the middle at number 8 for me.
All right. Well, they leaned into tongue in cheek, which I at the time I did wasn't too big on because again, same director as the Texas remake, a film that no one thought should be remade, and then overall, I think most people were like blown away,
I
at
loved
least
it.
at the time. Kind of thought that heavy tone was going to come to the Friday the 13th franchise, and
Mhm.
it didn't.
Yeah.
It really kind of played into the 80s stereotypes. And so I was a little bit upset with that. My feelings towards the remake were a lot different when I saw it versus what they are now. And that was because I was really, really pissed off with this remake when it first came out because, you had part one. I know you said 1 to 3. I think there's even elements of part 4 in there.
Okay.
And I think you kind of had, you had 4 parts. You blow your load on all these,
Mhm.
all in one movie. And why that pissed me off was because I thought this was the start of something. So I thought this was launching
Mhm.
into, the next generation of Friday the 13th. So I'm like, you did everything in one movie. Like, why? Like, why was that so rushed? Why was it so? And now that hate that I had for that decision really doesn't apply because they never made any more
True.
movies. So it's a standalone and I can appreciate it a little bit more, whether that was whether they knew that that was going to be it.
Mhm.
Anyways, I'm not going to spend too much time with this one. I did like the aggression of Jason in this one. I thought like, he definitely brought like while there was goofy stuff going on in the film, he wasn't.
Mhm.
I like that. I thought the portrayal was great, and it definitely had some elements, but overall, it kind of straddles the line of just being good. I don't watch it a lot. That usually is the indicator, right?
Mhm.
So funny enough, it's number 8 on my list as well. So hopefully, hopefully we disagree a little bit.
And one thing
I
I
would.
wanna add, because like you said, you mentioned Derek Mears, I think he did a great job as Jason.
Yeah.
So it was funny, I think it's Hatchet 3, Derek Mears plays this SWAT officer going against Victor Crowley, who was played by Kane Hodder. So there's, like, a little banter between them, like, "Okay, come on, let's go," knowing that both were Jasons, so that was a fun part in Hatchet 3 because you had both Jasons fighting.
Nice. Nice touch. Okay, so just a quick little I'm gonna give you a little bit of a Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I have my issues with this website. I don't,
Yeah.
really subscribe to a lot, but I know a lot of people do love it. So it's got a tomato meter of 14% and a popcorn meter of 42%. Uncle Pete, how familiar are you with Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, I normally the critics one, I kinda, like, you take
And
with a
that's
grain of salt.
okay, that's the
I'll
tomato
pay more
meter,
attention
right?
to the audience meter.
Okay. Tomato meter is the critics one, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is it? Yeah, okay. I'm asking
Yeah,
because
because yeah, the tomato meter is the critics, then you get the little thing of popcorn, which is, like, the audience one.
all right. So we gave a plug here to the old Rotten Tomatoes, but it's always worth you know checking out. I definitely think that that website is not kind to Friday the 13th, and it kind of bugs me a little bit. But let's move on. And this is kind of an interesting second film to dissect, but it is the at the time long awaited Freddy
Yeah.
versus Jason, and the tagline "Winner kills all, evil versus evil, place your bets." And it was released on August 17th, 2003. Funny enough, it was a blackout on the eastern seaboard across the states in Canada. I don't
Hmm.
know how much that affected the box office, but it still did very, very well. $30 million budget, gross of in US and Canada 82.6 million, which is phenomenal. Opening weekend US and Canada was 36.4 million, and the worldwide gross was 116 million. So 117 million if you're
Mm.
rounding up. Big numbers and big opinions with this film. So I'm going to throw it to Uncle Pete to start us off.
One thing I was gonna say I have to remember about this film, it was 2003, so for us older guys and gals, we saw the infinite that was during the infancy stage of the internet. So I remember all, like, these websites, like Place Your Bets, you had Bruce Buffer doing, like, promos for it, there was a weigh-in. I
Yeah.
gotta give credit
Yeah.
to the promotion for the marketing for this film was genius.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
had, like, people
fun.
dressing up like Bruce Buffer, like, toe-to-toe weigh-ins. So, like, the marketing was genius, and it was like you were super expectations were high because you had 2 of the icons going at it. Man, I was a little disappointed, this was number 10 for me. The last 20 minutes, great, great fight scene, but again, I thought the script was really trash. More cliche characters, just like it was just the same thing. And again, almost too pretty. You had the 2 main actresses, and this is what it is, you get distracted by their boobs hanging out the entire film. Not a bad thing per se, but the one girl, the blonde, she's falling out of her top. Not complaining, it's great, but it kinda takes away from the horror movie because they just wanted to make it all polished and clean. Again, everybody's just too attractive for me, and it's a turnoff. I just it's bothersome. I wanna see the ugly part of Friday the 13th. Whatchamacallit, the cornfield scene, awesome.
Mhm.
That part I did love, but the climax was great, but it's just that cast of characters, they were so cliche. You had that Jay and Silent Bob character, the stoner pothead. It was like,
Yeah.
again, like it a little less, so number 10.
All right. This one I was really surprised because when it came out, like everybody was just kind of like that, right? They just like, oh, whatever. Like, I mean, that what was that kind of thing. And then what surprised me is like, having a horror channel and then talking to people is how much younger people like this film and love this film. I'm definitely not in that camp, and I try not to be like, old man cynic when I kind of like, view this film.
Yeah.
But like you, we were there from almost the beginning, and this was an anticipated, battle that we never really thought we would get, but like
Mhm.
we always hoped. So you kind of wanted it to come down to a little bit of a tighter script, a little bit scarier, and like you said, like, I mean, they really kind of it was very popcorny. Lines like, Jason is afraid of water and Freddy's afraid of fire. Can we use that? And it's just like I'm paraphrasing, but
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
think
then you had the
I did it.
pinball scene, the pinball sounds when Jason's bounce. I know it's the
Yeah.
dream world, but
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it really kind of disappointed. I was not a big fan of how, like, all of a sudden, Freddy's like a kung fu master in the reality. He pulls out his martial arts arsenal, which we hadn't seen in any Nightmare on Elm Street film, I gotta say. And he just becomes this like Jet Li kind of, force. It just I couldn't, get into that. Like, if you're gonna get to a physical battle and you're gonna make Freddy start kicking Jason's butt,
okay.
you're losing me. Obviously, I was team Jason, but at the same
Yep.
time, I can understand the certain worlds would work in each one's favor, and that was just kind of silly for me.
And something else that didn't work is because they went with the whole, "Oh, if you're holding on to something when you get pulled out of the dream world, you bring it with you." That was already proven to be false after the first film, and
Yeah,
they went
yeah.
back to it like 10 films later. "This is gonna work." No, but it's proved that doesn't work. You just can't grab Freddy out of it. But
Mhm,
one part I did like, I liked the idea on how Jason got escaped from hell. Freddy, no powers, everybody forgot about him. He resurrects Jason, "Hey, go cause hell." So they think it's me, I get power, I come back. That part I liked,
mhm.
but just the execution was trash.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I'm gonna say my ranking because I might forget it. Once again, this is not planned, but it's 10th on my list.
It wasn't planned at
Yeah,
all.
we're kind of rolling, or we'll see, we'll see. But then we know this podcast is meant to be between us
I
if we
know, dude.
if we have a unanimous list. And then obviously mm, the hardest thing to kind of accept was the omission of Kane Hodder as Jason. Um,
Yeah.
for
Ronnie
me,
Yu just didn't wanna use him.
I know. For me, it just looked like a totally like, was it Ken Kurtzinger or
Yeah,
sorry, I've
something like that.
mutilated his name, is like, I don't know, like a foot taller than Kane Hodder. So it just elongated Jason even more,
Mhm.
which I don't think you needed to do. Kane Hodder's pretty big. The body frame, and then like, I don't know. I just I don't like Jason with a pullover. I'm sorry. I do not like Jason wearing a sweater.
Yeah, 'cause you can't imagine him getting up in the mirror in the morning and like,
I know, like, adjusting himself and, like, but so I did not like the aesthetic of Jason in that movie. I mean, it didn't destroy me, like, it's been worse, but, not having Kane Hodder hurt me, and I know how much it hurt him, so it's just a shame because it was always supposed to be, at some point anyway,
yeah,
Kane and Robert, and it
and
just
now
didn't happen.
everybody's too old, we're never gonna get it.
No, yeah, you're just not, yeah,
That
and,
that's the sad part.
yeah, yeah, it really was unfortunate, but not our favorites. And again, like I said, a very, very popular film. So that may be a hot take that we have
Had a
both
good
have it
metal
so
soundtrack.
low.
Like I said, marketing was great, good metal soundtrack.
Yep, yep, absolutely. Okay, so we we move on to, and this one's always an interesting one to cover.
Mhm.
This is Jason X, and Evil gets an upgrade. Debatable. It was released April 28th, 2002, with a budget $11 million, gross of $13 million in US and Canada. Opening weekend was 6.6 mil, and a worldwide gross of $17 million, just 6 million over their budget. Um, you know, let's go to the Rotten Tomatoes for Freddy versus Jason, because I don't want to leave anything out. Freddy versus Jason's Rotten Tomatoes. Do I have it here? Let's see. Oh, there it is. A tomato meter of 42%, a popcorn meter of 50%. And if 50 sounds low based on the scores Friday gets on this website, 50 is pretty high. So it tells you what fans nowadays think of that film. While I'm here, let's just look into Jason X, which should be very, very interesting tomato meter if I can find it. I apologize. But actually, you know what? While I'm looking for this, Uncle Pete, have at
Yeah.
it.
Again, this one changed for me. I used to have it much higher because I do kinda love it. I used to have it 4, right now I have it as number 7. I love the concept. Uber Jason was great. I loved when he's turning into Uber Jason. If you see the computer screen, it says, "Oh, insufficient like biomass to use a nano machines." So then it goes to like the metal surrounding like the tray and everything else in there to supplement that. That part I always found super cool. That's how so explains how he gets a legit upgrade. Not enough mass, use metal and stuff. So Uber Jason looks great. Loved it. Still, again, the goofy characters and they went too tongue in cheek. The one-liners. This sucks on so many levels, and she gets sucked out into space. Okay, everybody had a goofy name like Samarin, like Raytheon, all this like because in the future we're all gonna have wacky names apparently, you know. And
Okay.
again, the one part where the main teacher gets killed. Oh, he just wanted his machete, guys. I was like, oh my, that's not
Yeah.
bad. That's just cringe,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I moved it a little bit lower, a little less than half. Like I do enjoy it. I will rewatch this from time to time. Like if I'm doing a watch through for sure. I just like the other ones a little bit more. But on a couple rewatches, it's just a little bit too goofy. But there's stuff I still like and enjoy about it.
All right. Sorry, what was your ranking on this one?
7.
7. All right. Okay, we disagree. You'll have to
Okay.
stay for my ranking. But before we do that, Jason X tomato meter 20%. Critics didn't like it. I am shocked. And popcorn meter of 25%. So
Yeah.
slightly better. Okay, so this is kind of similar to the remake in the sense that when it came out, I had no time for this. They were really effing with my franchise at this
Mhm.
point, if they hadn't already. But this was definitely sending it to the next level. And I have come around. I don't know if time has softened me or, I just saw, some other films a few too many times and we kind of can appreciate this. Again, I think when these movies are coming out, you're as a fan, Jason X comes out and he's in space. And as a fan, you're like, okay, I really dug early Jason. How are we going to get back there? Like, what's going to
Yeah.
happen? Trajectory is so askew. Now, that movie stands on its own again. That series, for better or for worse, is wrapped up. Like, and
Mhm.
you're not going to get a follow up. So now you could kind of cut it some slack. And that's, I think, where I'm at. Uber Jason, cool design. I think it's a fun one to have in the franchise if you just watch it for fun. And, overall, likable cast. Overall, I thought they had some good chemistry together. And I definitely, I thought it had some fun, like where he's beating the campers with the sleeping bag at the end. It was,
I did chuckle, I said tongue in cheek, but I did like, "Hey, you want some, like, beer?
yeah.
Some pot? Some premarital sex?" I was like, "Yes." You know?
Might be the hardest laugh I've had in a Friday the 13th film, I'll be honest. So, I'll give it a little bit of credit to that.
Yeah.
Not gonna give it too much credit, but, it's got watchability and,
Yep.
you know
I think his name's Brodsky is a cool character.
Yeah, yeah,
He's a cool guy at the end, I liked him a lot.
yeah,
The,
yeah.
liquid nitrogen kill is fantastic. One of the
Probably
best kills in the franchise.
exactly, like and who would think that, like, from this film that, like, you probably have a lot of people consider it the best.
The number 1, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And
so
you wouldn't be wrong for thinking that.
no, no, very, very cool kill. It is number 9 on my list, so it is still quite low, but fun nonetheless. All right, so we will go to the next film on our list here, which is Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday. Evil has finally found a new home. The creator of the first returns to bring you the last. I forgot about that.
Me too, I just my brain went like, I totally
I com Wow, I totally forgot about that, and I'd like to thank okay, so there's 2 people doing this podcast. There is obviously myself and Uncle Pete, but there
uh-huh.
is a 3rd man behind the scenes who is has provided me the depth that we are getting here, and, we're gonna call him Slick Slamopovich, and Slick Slamopovich from Cabin 6. That's where all this information comes from. So he's working hard in cabin number 6. And thank you, Slip. I'm gonna call him Schlick. Sorry, Schlick Slomopovich. I will also add that I we put in a little bit of work here. I said, what's your top and what's your bottom? So Jason Goes to Hell was his last. So I will throw that in. But anyways, let's get to the box office information and release details. August 15th, 1993, a budget of $3 million, a gross in US and Canada of 15.96 million, $16 million. Opening weekend in US and Canada, 7.5 mil. Worldwide gross of 15.9. So it didn't really go anywhere other than the US and Canada, which is probably fine. Uncle Pete, have at it.
Okay, I'm gonna start with what I like. Tentpole kill. I was in high school when this movie came out. Early, like the mid to early 90s. It wasn't the internet, so you took the what you could see on TV. So like that temple scene, you're like, oh, cool. Oh my God. Temple scene is killer. Also, when Deputy Josh he starts melting after the Jason worm goes into him, killer special effects. Fantastic. Other than that, I can't stand this movie. It's number 12. I don't want to say hate. Hate's a strong word, but Creighton Duke, everybody loves Creighton Duke because, it was Captain Fuller from 21 Jump Street, but I couldn't stand his character. He's like, "You know what I think about?" And he takes the donut, sticks the hot. I was just like, it's just, it's so cringe to me. Jason's not even in it. You get the few, here you get, Kane Hodder playing Jason again for the beginning and the end. Oh, look, I get to see him in a mirror for 3 seconds. It was just,
Yeah.
and then at the end, "Oh, yeah, I got her body." So the mom's body, he's a blood relative. So the worm goes into her and poof, Jason with the freaking mask on. Come on. It's just, I know you got to suspend disbelief, but it was just crap.
All right. Well, and my take is harsh. That whole talk about insulting that to avoid he was born. And only through a Voorhees must he die, or something like that. I don't even remember. Again, paraphrasing, but oh man, like this is. I'm not even gonna hold out. This is my last. This is 12. This is
Yep.
15th. This is whatever, however low I could put it. I don't think there 11 on my list is oceans ahead of this film,
Yep.
it's just I've said this at the beginning that some movies are dumpster fires. I'm going to reserve it for this was a dumpster fire. It
Yeah.
didn't know what it was. It was the first film to be taken away from Paramount, and it totally felt like that. It
Yep.
felt like it was just completely transformed, different feel, different take, different, everything was just different, and everything missed.
I felt like
Cat
they
Sorry.
never watched the Friday the 13th. Like whoever wrote that movie,
Yeah.
"Hey, it's called Friday the 13th. You got a killer who wears a hockey mask called Jason." Okay, and they didn't want, like you said, you were right on the money. There was no tone, no camp tone.
No, nothing.
Nothing that made it feel like summer camp, summertime. It was like a
Yeah,
crime thriller and just it was
and
a
Pete,
mess.
this was like, yeah, Cunningham coming right back for this. Like, I mean, like, I don't know how involved he was on this, but, like, you got excited as a Friday fan, like, with
Mhm.
that tagline. Of course, we forgot about it, but, like, this is like you thought it was in the hands of, mom and dad, but it
Yeah.
clearly was not, or like, I mean,
But if you think about it, Sean never wrote Jason. He
no.
wrote Jason drowning in the lakes. Could that be it? Maybe he didn't understand the character because his vision, remember, it was supposed to be an anthology. His vision was
Yeah.
supposed to be die there. So
Yep.
could that be
I don't know. I
maybe?
mean, I'm with you on the tent pole scene. I think that was like, a lot of fun. Erin Gray, I
Yep.
liked. I thought she was, it was kind of shocking to see her in there. And my another big, like, just what the hell is the look of Jason in this movie is really bothers me. He's swollen. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm saying swollen to avoid saying he's fat, but like he's just bloated, and it's just such a ridiculous look. Like, this is again it falling into hands of people who just do not know what to do with this property. But the irony is that it was directed by a super fan.
And another thing you bring up that kinda bugged me is, like, one thing I like about the Friday franchise is the way it ends and the next movie begins, you see Jason's transformation, his progress,
Yeah.
up until Jason goes to hell, and we'll get to Jason Takes Manhattan, that ending, we'll get to that. You start this film, like, okay, so how does that tie in to that one? All the previous films did that excellent,
Yeah.
tying the
Yep.
ending in with the beginning. Here, you just okay, here's a girl with big boobs, okay, she's taking a shower for some reason, and then, okay, there's Jason, and there's the SWAT,
Yeah.
and you have to fill in all the blanks
Yeah.
between the 2. It was just like it was such a disconnect, and like you said, it was, like, so disrespectful
Yeah.
to Crystal Lake, Jason Voorhees.
Yeah. It was, and just shoehorning, mythology in there,
The Necronomicon and
so
the
so I know, but, like, I'm just saying, like, so you're telling me from part 2, all they need to do was find another Voorhees to kill him. It could have that like, all of us anyways, I think we spent too much time on this one, because 'cause we're not saying anything nice, and we don't wanna dump on the because of the people that worked on it,
yeah,
right? But, look, we have to call it what it is, and this is definitely last with a bullet. And the tomato meter for this one is lowly and popcorn meter of 23%, which, relatively speaking, I find a little high.
little
But
high. I was just gonna say a little high for me.
yeah, but listen, I mean, I don't know. I guess do people that love these films, or well, no, I was gonna say people that love these films go on these websites, but clearly not. Friday the 13th fans, you got to get on Rotten Tomatoes, and you got to start loving your
For your love.
franchise because it needs help. It needs help on Rotten Tomatoes. All right. So we are making our way down to the Great Eight.
Mm.
Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. New York has a new problem. Released July 30th, 1989, a budget of 5 mil, a gross of 14.3, opening weekend of $6 million, and a worldwide gross of 14.3. Again, pretty much local to US and
Yep.
Canada. So I will throw this to you.
So again, I don't wanna spend too much time on this one because it's widely known as not a good one. Kane Hodder, I will say, he's a great physical Jason. He's a physical Jason, just the way he carries himself, and he had this wet look the entire time, which carries over from the ending of number 7. But obviously, it's mostly on a boat. I ranked as number 11. You could probably hear the accent sometimes. I'm from New York, actually. So I was living in New York when this film came out. It was super cool. It was, again, great marketing for it. Lots of cool posters. Posters pretty killer with Jason cutting through the I Love New York scene. Lots of cool posters on it. But yeah, it was a Friday the 13th movie, but it wasn't at Camp Crystal Lake. I know what I like. I wanted at a camp. It was on a boat, and then there's a lot to disbelieve in here, so you have to suspend disbelief because Crystal Lake somehow connects to the Pacific Ocean through lakes and rivers and something, you know. And then the beginning of it, okay, he gets resurrected because like the electrical line hits him, fine. And just so happens this guy has a replica Jason mask on the helm as Jason Klein. It's a little too convenient for me. At least give him a new mask. Go back to the sack head. That would have been the cool part. He just pulls a sack on his head, bam,
Yeah.
cool. But it was a little
Well,
too convenient with the mask and everything. It's again, I don't want to spend too much time. It's not a good movie. I
I
mean,
thought,
the head punched off scene is cool when he drowns the guy in toxic waste, great. But the ending angers
uh,
me so much because
okay,
she
what
looks
exactly?
down and you see a kid in a bathing suit, and that's supposed to be Jason. Age doesn't match. In my head, the only way I can think that movie exists is she's still hallucinating from the drugs that those guys injected her with, and she has her own mental problems, and she hallucinated that. In the realm of all film, made no sense. The toxic waste washed Jason off, and now he's a kid again. It angers me to this day.
I could tell. I could tell. Listen, this one has sentimental value for me because this was when I was a kid. This was coming out at the time where, like, I was able to, go to see these in the theater and
Yeah,
stuff like that. And so, like, I was like I was buying what they were selling. This is the reverse of some of the other films. Like, not that I loved it at the time, but I definitely liked it more than I do now. Chrissy's dad from Three's Company, hey, he's in it. That's always fun. I definitely Jason on a boat is kind of a cool idea. But you throw Jason Takes Manhattan in the title, and that's when it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
Jason terrorizing a boat with like, some graduating kids. That's a cool spin, but not when you attach it with it. And like you said, the marketing for this film, Jason on Arsenio Hall. For those of you who do not know, Arsenio Hall was a big talk show back in the day, and Jason made an iconic appearance. You have to YouTube this. I can't tell you if it holds up now, but at the time, this brought the house down. This was
Right.
massive, and it was Kane Hodder in his glory. It's really unfortunate the way this movie, like you don't have a budget for New York stuff. Call it Jason Takes Manhattan. Like, I get the gimmick thing, but, like, you're really kind of hemming yourself in.
It's like they're too focused on the tagline of the movie, because that's one
Yeah.
thing about Friday the 13th. Killer taglines, you
Yeah.
know, for some of them, and it's like, "Oh, we have to it's like they almost like, "Let's think of a tagline before we write the movie."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good tagline. Let's make a movie on it, and then you go from
Honestly,
there.
I feel like there has to be someone who knows it. I feel
Yeah.
like that happened. They knew the tagline, and then let's make a movie off of it.
Yeah. No, you might be right. It might be like, John's got a tagline, then we got a movie. So, again, we're gonna move off this one kinda quickly, but I do want to really lace into what I call Pumpkinhead Jason at the end. That makeup was just a deplorable.
Oh,
I don't even use that word. It was absolutely ridiculously bad coming off of part 7, which we'll get to. That was just when his mask came off, I thought it was like another dream sequence or something. Like, there's no
yes.
way that's it. There's no way that's his face. There's no way a makeup artist came up with that. A director said, "Yes, that's the look." How did these things happen? And again, with what you were saying about the dream sequence and the continuity, which is going to be a fun episode of this podcast down the road. Continuity of Friday the 13th
Mhm.
is definitely, all over the place. So we won't get into it too much there. My ranking for Friday the 13th Part 8 is 11.
Yep, I
So
agree.
it's pretty low. And what was yours again? What did you have?
11.
I think we disagreed on one. Anyways, so Rotten Tomatoes for Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Tomato meter 11%, popcorn meter 26%.
Yeah.
Don't think it could be lower, but anyways, we
And
move
again,
on.
as a New Yorker, every night, New York floods the sewers with toxic waste. That's what
That's
we
right.
do in New York.
Yeah, that's I know, that's what's done. But you did bring up this opening title sequence, the song, the
Yeah.
darkest. I forgot what it's called. I should do my homework on that one, but that was a cool song. I really enjoyed that song. All right, moving on to Friday the 13th Part 7. On Friday the 13th, Jason is back, but this time someone is waiting. Pretty good. Released May 15th, 1988. Budget of $2.8 million. Gross 19.1 mil. Opening weekend 8 million, and again worldwide gross of 19.1 million. I'm wondering if we go to like Europe, do they know Friday the 13th
Yeah,
films?
it's curious overseas numbers now.
Yeah. Anyways, part 7. Go for it.
I'd have it ranked at number 9. It's again, like, once they went supernatural with Jason, I kinda lose a little bit of interest. Like, okay, this girl, she's got telekinesis. Okay, great. I know they want it's pretty much we got this instead of the first iteration of Jason versus Freddy. They couldn't get the rights, so I guess, like, they decide, "Well, we can't do Freddy versus Jason. We'll give this girl it'll be Carrie. She'll have telekinesis." Okay, great. How does telekinesis revive somebody? Okay, she just jump started the heart. Okay, no deterioration because she goes into the lake to restart to find her dad because he drowned in the lake because she had a temper tantrum. I kept watching this movie and I keep asking myself, "So what?" It was just one character's trauma, and she's all, like, tense and the whole time, and I'm just
Mm.
like, I don't wanna say shit or get off the pot. I was just like, "You're doing okay in life right now." Like, yeah, your mom's a bitch and the doctor's an asshole and stuff like that, but I kept asking myself, "So what?" The good, Jason's look is killer. Seeing his spine when he comes out of the lake which again, that continuity, which we'll, discuss in future episodes, he's all deteriorated, waterlogged, takes the mask off. You're like, oh crap. Kane Hodder is great. One of the best looks as Jason. The kills are heavily edited by the MPAA, so we didn't get a lot of good kills. But yeah, I'm like, it's Jason versus Carrie. I was like, so what? And that ending. Now, if we went just to endings, this is up there with number 8. She brings her
Yeah.
dad back to just wrap the chain
Yeah.
around him, and Jason's dead again.
Well, apparently there was more, to it than just, like,
Yeah.
just taking
I
him
guess it was
down,
one he
but
was a little deteriorated or whatnot, but,
yeah.
like, the just dad looked like he was in there for an hour,
Yeah.
like, his fingers were pruning, and that's about it.
I know.
It's just and that's how you beat Jason. You have because she did some cool stuff. She blew up the cabin, she set him on
Yeah.
fire, she tried to stab him, electrocute him, all this cool stuff, and, okay, you drowned him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
number 9.
Okay, so funny, and I have a funny story with part 7. So it came out when it was rated R, so I couldn't go to the theater to see it, but a friend of mine did, or so I thought. So he got into the theater and he saw it. Next Monday, we're at school. He's explaining to me the plot. He's like, "Yeah, yeah, I saw the new Friday 13th." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, no, this girl has these magic powers, and in the beginning of the movie, she kills her father, and then, like, through the whole film, like, she's really struggling with her, like, powers, and her doctor is, like, sabotaging her, and then, at the end of the movie, her father grabs Jason and pulls him into the water." I'm like, "This guy's full of shit. There's no
Right?
way he saw this movie. There is no way." And I'll never it's in my head. Like, the guy, his name is Mike. I he told me this movie, and, like, then a months later, it's on video, and I'm watching, I'm like, "Son of a bitch actually saw the film." First of all, how did he get in? I was pissed. But what? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? So, you know what? Part 7 is just got this, like, vibe where it just kinda seems like, yeah, like, it's missing its heart, like, it
That's what I'm saying. I feel so what at the
yeah.
end. Like, it was like, okay, and, like, I didn't the story didn't progress or nothing.
No,
Like,
yeah.
again, the best thing I get my notes say, "But so what?"
Yeah, it felt like a cold installment. Like, it just, like, I mean,
Yep,
obviously the woods looked cold. They were up there. It was like, it was not a summery film. I don't mean temperature wise, but it felt like a cold kind of, like, the characters were cold.
yep,
The environment just seemed cold. The score was kind of cool. It kind of lacked a lot of heart. And I know that sounds funny. Friday fans will understand that, but, like, it just kind of lacked a little bit of that heart, and
mhm.
it's like a through line kind of got pulled out. It's really unfortunate how this one got mutilated by, no pun intended, by the ratings board. But so we can never really judge it based on, what we could have seen. We can only watch what we see and judge that. Kane Hodder, he came on and he was amazing. I thought he really played this role really cool, and the makeup by Buchler and his team was outstanding. Funny, when the mask first rips off, what the hell is his face? He looks like a zombie, but then, you see every single bit of damage that he's accumulated throughout the films, all represented on it.
Yep,
Brilliant masterpiece, the spine. Like, to this day, part 7 rests its, its reputation on the makeup of Jason and the look of
mhm.
Jason. And that is part and parcel with, Kane Hodder's portrayal. So definitely a highlight in Jason's look, but meh for, for the most part. And I have part 7 at 7 on my list. So yeah, let's look at the
You're pretty
rotten.
close so far.
Yeah, yeah, we haven't really kind of veered
Yeah,
off. There's no point where I'm like, "What? You're crazy, man."
yeah. And I'm sure we'll have a future episode about it because we discuss offline about how unfortunately Kane Hodder is in more of the misaligned
Yeah,
fri and it hurts.
it's painful for,
It's
yeah,
a little exactly, yeah,
yeah, and 7 was his best shot. Who would have thought, right? Like,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, he's beloved. Yeah, and we will talk about it, and maybe we'll have him on the show. But 7, 8, 9, and 10. they've already been ranked on our list. So, like, it's yeah. Part seven's tomato meter is 31%. Actually kind of high. Sad, but high. And popcorn meter is 37%. So, again, these aren't like great scores. They're like, if I got that in high school, I'd have been happy. But I know, like, some of the people in my class probably would have considered it a fail. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. Part seven's got a little bit of love there. All right. So we've made it through we're halfway
Yep.
there. All right. So again, we told you that this episode was going to be a little bit long and we're just passionate. So we're talking about the
Yep.
films. We're moving on to Friday the 13th, part 6. Jason Lives, and I will hook you up with the information. Once again, thanks to Slick Slamopovich of cabin number 6. Nothing this evil ever dies. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
No, I did not. I was just like, "That's a cool one." I didn't know. I know. I don't. If I did, I didn't remember it.
Yeah, same, same. I honestly, I don't think I ever. Anyways, August 3rd, 1986, a budget of 3 million, a gross of 19.4 million, opening weekend 6.7 million, and worldwide gross of 19.4. Part 6. The floor is yours, my friend.
Jason Lives in my heart, the number one with a golden platinum machete. One of my favorite horror movies of all time. Easily number one. Love it, love it, love it. You get Tommy Jarvis played by Tom Matthews, who's in my favorite movie of all time, Return of the Living Dead. The group of characters is a blast. They're fun, they're edgy, they all got little personalities. You got kids at the camp. Finally,
Hmm.
6 movies. Kids at the camp.
Yep.
Alice Cooper, the man behind a heavy metal song written for the movie by the Prince of Darkness, Alice Cooper. Incredible. I loved it. At the end, you got Tommy in the canoe with the chain, egging Jason out. Jason, come on, you pussy. Come on. Jason stops, like, oh, you're going to call me that? We're going to go fight. Surrounded by fire.
He's got
That
triggers.
ending rocks. It's just the RV flip is awesome. Kid, like I said, kids at the camp, the group of characters. Just, I love the dad because he's like a protective dad, the sheriff, and he gets bit in half at the end to save his
Yep.
daughter. We mentioned before about Seven Had No Heart. This movie, for me, has got so much heart. That's why it's number one. And even the little nods I like when Tommy's talking on the phone, he's, oh, I'm at Karloff's. All these
Yeah.
little nods to Universal and past
Cunningham
horror
Road.
movies. I mean, I get goosebumps thinking about it. Number one, easily.
All right. All right. Look, this is a step up from everything we've discussed so far, definitely.
Right.
But you know what I loved about this film? Like, I'm looking at this movie and okay, look, I'm looking at a $3 million budget. And part 7 was $2.8 million. Part 8 was $5 million, and part 9 was $3 million. The scale, the just the look of this film looked like it was back in the day, like a $20 million budget.
Mhm.
Like Tom McLaughlin did such a fantastic job, not just with story and but just with the actual look of this film. Like, for the longest time, it's like, well, they don't have kids, budget, blah, blah, blah. And, nope, they're in there. They're fine. Everything kind of fits in. The money went to the right places in this
Mhm.
film. That's what this is. I don't have the production managers like, layout itinerary or anything like that or how this was produced, but I could tell you that this was money spent in the right places because this look, even from all the movies before, which were great films, this was a step up in
Mhm.
production value. And the cast was great. You believed that they were friends. You believed that this was like,
Yeah, the chemistry was
it was off the charts. And, Megan and Tommy were like unbelievable. So Jennifer Cook is my favorite
Final
final
Girl.
girl.
Yep.
I know that's going to come up and I absolutely loved her. I thought, she, like, if you watch her, like she's like the male role. like she's the pursuer, she's the aggressor, she's like, I love it. I thought that was really, really cool and different, right? Like, because you had the dynamic switch of like, not having a girl, but having Tommy Jarvis, which, this was Tommy in his at his peak, and
Yep.
you wanted more of it. Unfortunately, you didn't get it. Just yeah, cast the chemistry, and then yeah, you throw in Alice Cooper. It just I don't want to like regurgitate everything you've said, but it's just and it's fun, and it hit the tones. The death of Jason. How cinematic was that? Like the ring of fire in the lake where he like that was just bringing it home properly, and everything was so well done. And this is again, this is when a film goes. Now I know he kind of wasn't like all over like the history of Friday the 13th. He kind of wanted to make it a little bit campy and a little
Mm.
bit tongue in cheek and stuff like that, but he did it in a way where it worked. This is where it works, and not when you go overboard and you try to kill it. And this is good filmmaking, and
And
and you don't say that a lot with Friday the 13th.
and
Sometimes
what I
it's
liked about the script, it was really sharp. Like I said, they had those nods to Universal monsters.
mhm,
This is almost has a Frankenstein feel to it. Tommy inadvertently created Jason
yeah,
by resurrecting him, so now he's got a so it's almost has like a Frankenstein feel to it. I mean, he gets out, it starts raining, he's got that and again, the continuity is great. He's got those gloves on the whole
yeah.
movie that Tommy brought to the graveyard. He uses that spike to kill people. It was just very clever writing, knowing the continuity and taking it and moving it forward. I loved it.
All right. So I will say this, that a couple of things that I didn't love about this film. I didn't like the 007 intro. It's fun. It's fun. I'm not going to be cranky grandpa here. I didn't love the look of Jason in this. I thought he looked a little too clean. I didn't like the utility belt and the gloves. I thought gloves are fine, but make them black or something like, I thought that was a little bit, yeah. I don't know. What about you? Did you like that
I like
look?
CJ I liked CJ Graham because he's tall and, like, he was fast.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to choose between him and Kane Hodder because of my love for all the different movies.
yeah,
I mean, he's the biggest kills. One thing I liked about his look is they keep the bullet holes and the paint marks in the
yeah,
continuing other films.
yeah,
That's what I kinda liked about it. I kinda dig the belt because it's just like, oh, I mean, yeah, just to follow Jace, he's like, "Oh, I could pick this up," because it shows that he is a little smart, 'cause
yeah,
he's like, "Oh, I can carry something to kill somebody with over here." So, why he
sure.
put the gloves on is a little like, "Okay, I know why'd you put the gloves on? You don't need to worry about being shocked or nothing." So,
It was
but see,
cold. It was
there's
kind
the campiness where I think it worked. It had a
Alright.
little tongue in cheek campiness, like you said.
Yeah,
It was a perfect combination where it worked really well. Like, he's weird, that's kinda silly.
yeah.
Okay, and I was
And
okay
worth
with it.
worth noting, this was the start of what became known as Zombie Jason. Alright, so let's look at the Rotten Tomatoes for this one, and this one, forgive me right now. Okay, this was probably the second highest, ranked, and it was 56 on the tomato meter, say 56%, and on the popcorn meter, 54, which I'm surprised because I do know a lot of people really, really love this film, a lot of but, yeah. Alright.
Would you have
So
it?
geez, thank you very much. I have this one at 4, so
Okay.
a big disagreement here in the sense that we both have it really high, but this is your number 1, and it's 4 on my list, so
Yeah, first.
alright, so we're a little bit for the
The rest will
listeners to
be a little
choose from.
interesting, see? We
Yeah,
saved the best for last. It's gonna be a little
exactly.
interesting.
Alright, so that's it for part 1 of this episode, and join us for part 2 of the Friday the 13th rankings.